Painting the garden. For a very small amount of money, a few cans of paint and some brushes, you can add a signature touch to your garden and take care of those problem areas that look so drab. This project actually started with our garage. When we first bought our house, our garage needed major repairs, but because of zoning laws in the city, which says if you tear your garage down you must reapply for permits, but if you just repair one side at a time, that is fine. As we started working on the garage, we realized that actually all sides of the garage do not have to be exactly the same. They can be anything you want to match your garden. This is our garage today, and I don't think the idea would have occurred to us except for the zoning laws that you could have a garage with 4 different sides looking completely different. This is the side that faces the cottage garden. It is a raised bed where we grow all our warm weather vegetables. The front of the garage is the only part of the building that can be seen from the street, so we painted it to match our house. And this is the side that faces the shade garden. As you can see, it's quite different from the vegetable garden side. When we finished building this side of the garage, it looked quite drab. We had used pressure-treated lumber and we knew we would paint it eventually. So we decided to paint a wall mural in that space. In painting an exterior wall mural, you must take into consideration the location of it, but also how it will look in 4 seasons. People that live in warmer climates have a lot more options when it comes to exterior decoration, but in New England with our snowy winters, it also has to look good then, too. We decided to paint a simple blue sky. It looks good in all 4 seasons and really brightened up the garden. When choosing a design for your wall mural or for any decoration, they need to blend into the background of the garden. After all your hard work, the garden, is the main focal point, and you don't want any other feature to supersede that. Painting a sky wall mural is very, very simple. You don't need to be a painter to do it. Start by looking at the sky over your garden and take a few photos of your favorite cloud formations, or whether you want blue sky or a slightly overcast day. See what would work in your garden space. In painting the wall mural on the garage, I used exterior latex. Look on the color cards and pick out the blue you think matches the best, and then go 1 shade lighter at least, because it always dries so much darker. I use white styrofoam paper plates for a color palette. It's easy to mix on, they're sturdy, and it makes cleanup a snap. Once you have decided what color blue to use, paint the whole wall that color. Try to use horizontal strokes back and forth, as it will blend the color in and look more natural. After your blue paint has dried overnight, take up a brush something like the green one in the center and dip it in white paint, and then wipe off most of the paint, and this is called dry brush technique, and this is how we will paint the clouds. Holding your brush perpendicular to the surface, straight up and down, make little scrubby circles round and round until they blend into the blue. Because you have very little paint on your brush to start with, you'll immediately see that fading effect. Dip your brush once again in white, wipe it off, and continue to build the clouds. Where you want denser clouds, go over the white areas again. All of these instructions sound harder than they really are. Just paint a piece of cardboard blue and then dry brush some white on it, and you will immediately see how much fun this is to do. Now, when you've gotten your painting to this point, you need to add some shading. Now, add just one drop of black to some white paint. Dip your brush, wipe it dry, and add shading to the underneath of the cloud. At this point, you may think you've made a mistake, or you have white where you don't want it, or you have gray where you don't want it. No problem, because you have leftover blue and you can paint out anything you want. That's what artists do. They fix things. Take your brush, dip it in blue, wipe most of it off, and dry brush out all of your mistakes. There you have it, a perfect sky. I use this photo to paint a whole room to look like sky. It was a third floor attic room where the walls and ceilings blended together, and I wanted something very subtle, so I used a very pale blue and then dry brushed the clouds in. This was a small detail on one wall just to add some visual interest and break the pattern up. I used a very large paintbrush to dry brush all the clouds in. It took me about 4 days to paint the whole room this way. When we built the tool shed in this garden, we were confronted yet again with another brown, drab wall, and it took me a while to figure out a design for this. Again, using exterior paint, I painted a trompe-l'oeil design and then incorporated real objects with it to give it a more dimensional look. In each of the gardens that I have, I use just one paint color for accent design. In this garden, it's the terracotta color along the roof line and of the pots. I painted this table and benches the terracotta color first with exterior latex, and then painted the dark color over it, letting some of the orange show through on the edges. This is a detail from the top of the table, fitting in with our Asian theme. The back fence of the shade garden was really drab, so I painted this circle of color there to brighten it up. It looks lovely when the afternoon sun comes around and reflects the leaf patterns of the trees across the circle. In the cottage garden, I chose this color blue as my accent color. It is simple to lead the eye through your garden with just a few color points. On the deck, I just painted some terracotta pots, the same color blue I had used on the fence. So, here we are, back at the garage where all this building and painting got started. Sometimes all you need is a good creative idea to solve some of your garden problems and brighten up those drab spots. But remember, most of all, the garden is a great place to go out and play.